History loves a good story about a flashy empire. The Romans, the Mongols, the Egyptians. We know their names, their kings, their colossal monuments. But what about the other great powers? The ones that existed in the hazy dawn of civilization, the ones that melted into the very cultures they helped create. What if I told you that one of ancient India's first and most influential polities, a line of rulers so legendary their descendants were considered heroes, touched by the divine, has been almost completely erased from history? They are mentioned by name in India's oldest sacred texts. They ruled from the banks of a holy river that has since turned to dust. They are the storied ancestors of the famous Pandavas and Kauravas, the warring cousins of the epic Mahabharata. And then they vanished. This is the epic tale of the Puru clan and the fascinating mystery of their disappearance. Our story begins more than 3,000 years ago in the heartland of what is now northern India. This was the cradle of the Vedic age, a time of tribal confederacies and warrior chieftains forging kingdoms from dust and ambition. Near the epicenter of this world were the Purus. The Purus weren't just another tribe. They were a formidable confederation, so prominent that the ancient Rigveda doesn't just speak of them, it sings of them. The hymns praise Puru chieftains like the great Trasadasyu, described as a near-divine leader. Their power was centered on a place of immense importance, the region of the Sarasvati River. Today the Sarasvati is a ghost river, a dry bed you can see from space, but back then it was a mighty watercourse revered as a goddess. To control the Sarasvati was to be at the spiritual and agricultural core of the Vedic world. But the Pura's influence wasn't just built on might. It was built on a foundation of myth so profound, it would echo for millennia. The epics tell a story about the clan's founder, a legendary king named Puru. His father, the Emperor Yayati, was cursed with old age and asked his sons to trade their youth for his. Only Puru, out of selfless devotion, agreed. Moved by this sacrifice, Yayati bypassed his older sons and crowned Puru as his heir, establishing the Puru dynasty as the legitimate line of kings. It was from this very lineage that later epics would trace the great kings of future ages. King Bharata, after whom India is traditionally named Bharat, is identified as a Puru descendant. And most famously, the Pandavas and Kauravas, the central figures of the Mahabharata, were the final inheritors of this epic bloodline. The Purus were in effect the grandparents of India's epic age. So, if the Purus were so central, where did they go? Why did their name fade into the past? This is the core of our mystery. Their disappearance wasn't one single event, but a perfect storm. Our first suspect is a cataclysmic war, the Battle of the 10 Kings. The Rigveda describes a titanic struggle where the Puru clan led a massive coalition against a rival king named Sudas. But Sudas was a brilliant strategist. The hymns say the god Indra burst the river's dams, drowning many of the attacking warriors. The Purus and their allies were decisively defeated, a pivotal moment that likely marked the beginning of their decline. Our second suspect is an enemy far more relentless than any army: climate change. The Sarasvati River was geologically unstable. Over time, tectonic shifts diverted its main water sources. The great river began to shrink, turning a fertile land arid. Faced with this ecological collapse, the people who lived there would have been forced to migrate, scattering in all directions. Their world didn't just fall, it dried up and blew away. But perhaps the most likely explanation is also the most subtle: assimilation. What if the Purus weren't erased at all? What if they simply transformed? The victors of the great battle, the Bharatas, were a related tribe. Many scholars believe that in the aftermath, old rivals, the Purus and the Bharatas, eventually merged. This powerful new alliance formed a new tribal union, one that would become even more famous, the Kuru kingdom. The old name Puru simply faded from political use, superseded by a new, more inclusive identity. Their bloodline didn't vanish, it became the foundation of the Kuru dynasty. So did the Puru truly vanish? The answer is a resounding no. Their name may have faded, but their legacy is immortal. Their greatest monument is the story of their own descendants. The entire Mahabharata epic, with its grand philosophical questions and its devastating war, is the final legendary chapter of the Puru dynasty. The battlefield of Kurukshetra, where the fate of an age was decided, was named for King Kuru, a descendant of the original King Puru. Every time we speak of Arjuna, Bhima, or Yudhishthira, we are speaking of the legendary descendants of the Puru clan. Over 1,000 years later, their name may have reappeared. When Alexander the Great pushed his armies into India, he met a formidable king the Greeks called Porus. Many scholars believe Porus is the Greek version of a proud Indian title, Paurava, a king of the Puru lineage. And could the echoes continue even today? Some scholars have proposed that the modern Punjabi surname Puri could be a living remnant of the ancient Puru tribe. It is a remarkable thought that the descendants of these ancient people might be walking among us, their identity preserved in a single word. The story of the Puru is a powerful reminder that history is never truly lost. It is simply absorbed, remixed, and retold, waiting for us to listen to its echoes in eternity. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, be sure to like and subscribe for more.